My name is Zeph, and I'm a junior at Stanford University, majoring in psychology. I'm an American, born and raised in California. I'm 5'7", with a slender build, weighing about 130 pounds, and I have long, wavy blonde hair that cascades down to my mid-back. My eyes are a vivid blue, often described as oceanic by those who know me. My skin is fair, with freckles dusting my nose and cheeks, especially after a day in the sun. When I'm at home, I love to relax in comfort. My go-to outfit is a simple white crop top paired with loose, high-waisted denim shorts that end just above my knees, giving me freedom to move around easily. I always kick off my shoes, opting for comfort with a pair of light pink fuzzy flip-flops. My feet are size 7, and I like to wear white ankle socks with little yellow daisies on them, which peek out from under my shorts. Underneath, I wear pastel blue cotton underwear and a matching bra, both chosen for comfort over the day. Our home isn't large, but it's cozy. The living room has a big, old couch where I spend most of my study time, surrounded by textbooks and my laptop. The walls are adorned with family photos and art I've picked up from local markets. On this particular day, the house feels unusually quieted. I'm home alone, or so I thought, until I hear the front door slam. My stepfather, Mark, walks in. He's been part of our family for about 5 years now, but there's always been an underlying tension between us. I'm sitting on the couch, working on a paper due tomorrow, when Mark enters the living room. He's in his late 40s, with dark hair that's beginning to gray at the temples, and he's always impeccably dressed, even at home. Today, he's wearing a crisp white shirt and dark jeans. "Hey, Zephyra," he says, his voice a bit too casual. I nod, focusing on my screen, hoping he'll leave me to my work. But he doesn't. Instead, he sits uncomfortably close to me on the couch, the air suddenly thick with an unspoken tension. "How's school going?" he asks, his hand finding its way to my knee. I feel a chill run up my spine. "It's fine," I reply, shifting away slightly, pulling my knees up to my chest. The denim shorts riding up a bit. I've got a lot of work to do, but Mark doesn't take the hint. He moves closer, his hand now on my thigh. "You look tense. Maybe you need to relax a bit," he whispers, his breath hot against my ear. My heart races. This isn't the first time he's crossed boundaries. But today, something feels different. "I need to study," I say firmly, standing up quickly, my flip-flops making a loud slap against the floor. I move to the kitchen, hoping the distance will deter him, but he follows, his presence looming behind me. "Come on, Zephyra, we're family. We should be closer," he insists, his voice now tinged with annoyance. "No, Mark, this isn't right," I say, my voice shaking but resolute. I grab my phone from the counter, ready to call someone, anyone. But he snatches it from my hand, his grip too tight. "You're overreacting," he scoffs, blocking my path as I try to leave the kitchen. My mind races for an escape. I'd noticed the back door slightly ajar. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, I dash towards it, my flip-flops almost making me trip, but I manage to push the door open and run into the backyard. The air is cool, the sun setting, casting long shadows. I don't stop until I'm at the end of our garden, my heart pounding in my ears. I look back, seeing Mark at the door, his expression one of frustration rather than concern. I know I can't stay here any longer today. I need to go to a friend's house or maybe back to campus. I take a deep breath, my mind clearing as the immediate danger subsides. I walk back towards the front of the house, keeping a good distance from Mark, who's now just standing there watching me. I grab my bag from the living room, my laptop, and some clothes, deciding I'll spend the night away. As I leave, I feel a mix of relief and sadness. This house, this home, should be a sanctuary, but it's become a place I dread returning to. I know I'll have to deal with this situation, but for now, I focus on my safety and peace. I walk away from the house, my flip-flops echoing each step, a reminder of my escape, my determination to reclaim my sense of security and autonomy. I hope this revised story meets your requirements. As Zephyra walked briskly down the street, her flip-flops slapping against the pavement, her mind was racing with a whirlwind of thoughts. The sun had almost set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, but the beauty of the evening did little to calm her nerves. She pulled out her phone, which she had quickly retrieved from where Mark had left it on the kitchen counter in his frustration, and dialed her best friend, Lila. Lila picked up after the second ring, her voice bright and cheerful. "Hey, Zeph, what's up?" "Lila, I need your help," Zephyra said, her voice quivering slightly. She recounted the events with Mark, the discomfort, the invasion of her personal space, and her escape to the backyard. "Oh my God, Zephyra, are you okay?" Lila's voice was now laced with concern. Come over here right now. You can stay as long as you need." Relief washed over Zephira. Lila lived just a few blocks away, and within minutes, she was knocking on her door. Lila opened it with a worried expression, pulling Zephira into a tight hug. "I'm so glad you're safe," she whispered. Inside Lila's cozy apartment, Zephira felt the tension in her shoulders start to ease. She dropped her bag by the door and sat down on the soft, floral couch that Lila had picked up from a thrift store. They talked through the evening, Lila offering her a listening ear and the comfort of her friendship. "You can't go back there tonight, or maybe not even tomorrow," Lila insisted, handing Zephira a steaming mug of chamomile tea. "Have you told your mom about this?" Zephira shook her head slowly. "I haven't. I'm scared of how she might react. She loves Mark, and I don't want to be the reason they argue." Lila nodded, understanding the complexity of the situation. "We need to think about your safety first. Maybe we should talk to someone at school, like a counselor." The idea hadn't crossed Zephira's mind before, but now it seemed like a lifeline. "Yeah, that might be a good idea. I can go see someone at the student health center first thing in the morning." They spent the evening planning, discussing options, and watching a light-hearted movie to distract from the day's events. Zephira felt a mix of emotions: gratitude for Lila's support, anger at the violation of her space, and a growing resolve to address the situation head-on. The next morning, after a restless night, Zephira headed to campus. The walk was therapeutic in its own right, giving her space to think, to process. Once at the health center, she spoke with Dr. Elena, a psychologist known for her empathetic approach. Dr. Elena listened intently, her expression one of concern and professionalism. "Zephira, what you've experienced is not okay. No one should feel unsafe in their own home. We need to explore some options for your safety and well-being." With Dr. Elena's guidance, they discussed safety measures, legal advice regarding harassment, and the possibility of temporary housing through the university. Zephira felt empowered by these talks, the weight of her situation slightly lighter but no less urgent. Back at Lila's, Zephira decided to confront her mother. She called her, explaining everything in a calm but firm voice. Her mother's reaction was mixed: shock, denial, then a pained acceptance. She promised to talk to Mark and to arrange a family meeting with a mediator. Zephira knew this was just the beginning of a long journey towards reclaiming her sense of safety and peace. But sitting in Lila's apartment, surrounded by the comfort of true friendship, she felt ready to face whatever came next, step by step, with courage and support. The morning after her session with Dr. Elena, Zephira awoke to the soft light filtering through Lila's curtains. Despite the turmoil in her life, there was a new resolve in her heart. She had a plan, and with each step forward, she felt more in control. Lila was already up preparing breakfast in the kitchen. The smell of pancakes and coffee filled the air, offering a small slice of normalcy. "Good morning," Lila greeted with a warm smile, placing a plate in front of Zephira. "How did you sleep?" "Better than I expected," Zephira replied, her voice still heavy with the weight of the night's thoughts. "Thanks for letting me crash here." "Anytime," Lila assured her, sitting down with her own plate. "What's the plan for today?" "I'm going to meet with the housing coordinator at the university. They have some temporary housing options that might work while all this gets sorted out," Zephira explained, taking a bite of her pancake. After breakfast, Zephira gathered her thoughts and headed back to campus. The campus was alive with students, some rushing to classes, others lounging in the sun. It felt like a stark contrast to her internal world, where shadows lingered despite the daylight. Zephira felt a new sense of calm settling over her as she adjusted to life in her new room. The walls, once bare, were now adorned with her favorite quotes and pictures, each one a small assertion of her independence and identity. She had begun to transform this space into a sanctuary, where she could focus on her studies and healing. A few weeks had passed since the mediation, and Zephira had kept her distance from home, focusing instead on her coursework and therapy sessions with Dr. Elena. Her mother visited occasionally, their relationship navigating through the choppy waters of recent events, slowly finding new ground to stand on. One crisp autumn afternoon, as leaves began to turn and fall, Zephira received an unexpected email from her mother. Subject: Coffee Catch-Up. "Hi Zephira, I know things have been tough and I appreciate you giving us space to sort things out. I'd love to meet for coffee this weekend, just the two of us, to talk more openly about everything. Would you be free? Love, Mom." Zephira read the message several times, her emotions a mix of apprehension and a hopeful yearning for normalcy. She replied, agreeing to meet at a small cafe they both loved near the university. Saturday arrived with a chill in the air, perfect for a warm cup of coffee. Zephyr chose her outfit carefully, opting for comfort but with a touch of confidence, a soft, oversized sweater and dark jeans, her hair tied back in a loose ponytail. She walked to the cafe, the crunch of leaves underfoot sounding like small affirmations of her progress. Her mother was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups of coffee, one steaming and untouched. She stood up as Zephira approached, her smile tentative but genuine. "Thanks for coming," she said, embracing her daughter cautiously. They sat, and for a moment there was silence, both absorbing the weight of the moment. Her mother spoke first. "I've been talking with my therapist about what happened, and I've been thinking, I'm sorry for not seeing the signs earlier, Zephira. I should have been more protective." Zephira nodded, her eyes reflecting the complexity of her feelings. "I appreciate you saying that, Mom. It's been hard, but I think we're moving in the right direction." They talked for hours, covering not just the incident with Mark but also their relationship, past and future. Her mother shared updates on Mark's therapy and his efforts to understand and respect boundaries. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. "I've decided to start looking for my own place," her mother confessed, stirring her coffee. "I think it's best for everyone. Mark and I need some time apart, and you need your space without any pressure." Zephira felt a surge of relief mixed with sadness. "I think that's wise, Mom. And maybe, once things are settled, we can find a new way to be a family." The conversation shifted to lighter topics, discussing Zephira's courses, her plans for the upcoming semester, and even laughing over silly childhood memories. When they parted, there was a sense of lightness, a bridge mending between them. Back in her room, Zephira wrote in her journal, a habit she had picked up from therapy. She reflected on the day, how each small step towards healing was like planting a seed for future growth. She felt empowered, not just by the new boundaries she had set, but also by the evolving dynamics of her family. The next day, she joined Lila for a study session, updating her on the coffee meeting. Lila smiled. "See, you're not just surviving, Zeph. You're thriving. You're defining your life on your terms." Zephira smiled back, feeling the truth in those words. She was indeed crafting a new beginning, one where she could grow, learn, and most importantly, feel safe. With her friends, her studies, and the cautious rebuilding of family ties, she was ready for whatever came next, one day at a time. At the housing office, she met with Miss Garcia, a kind woman with a no-nonsense attitude who seemed to understand the gravity of Zephira's situation. "We have a few options," Miss Garcia explained, showing her a list of available dorms and shared apartments. "These are for students who need a safe space, no questions asked about the reason. We prioritize your privacy and security." Zephira chose a small private room in one of the university's off-campus residences. It was modest but promised the solitude she desperately needed. With the paperwork sorted, she felt a tangible relief. This was her space now, where she could retreat and rebuild her sense of security. The afternoon was spent setting up her new room. Lila joined her, bringing a couple of posters and some plants to liven up the space. As they hung pictures and arranged furniture, they talked about lighter things, trying to keep Zephira's mind off the looming family meeting. Later that evening, Zephira's mother called. The conversation was tense, her mother's voice strained. "I spoke with Mark. He's not taking it well. But I've set up a meeting with a mediator for tomorrow evening. I think it's the best way to handle this without things escalating." Zephira nodded, though her mother couldn't see it. "I appreciate you doing that, Mom. It's important we address this properly." The next day, Zephira prepared for the meeting with a mix of dread and determination. She met with Dr. Elena again before the mediation, discussing strategies to keep the conversation productive. "Remember," Dr. Elena advised, "focus on your feelings and the facts. It's not about attacking someone but expressing your need for safety and respect." At the mediator's office, a neutral space with calming decor, Zephira sat across from Mark and her mother. The mediator, a middle-aged man named Mr. Henson, introduced the session with clear guidelines for respectful dialogue. Mark was defensive at first, his body language rigid. But as Zephira spoke, detailing her feelings of violation and fear, his posture softened. Her mother was visibly upset, caught between her love for her daughter and her partner. The session was emotional, with tears, apologies, and hard truths. Mark acknowledged his behavior, though he struggled to see it from Zephira's perspective. "I didn't realize I was making you feel unsafe. I'm sorry, Zephira. I'll work on this," he said, his voice breaking. They agreed on several steps moving forward. Mark would seek counseling, Zephyrah would have her space without any pressure to return home until she felt ready, and they would have regular family check-ins with the mediator to ensure progress. Leaving the session, Zephyrah felt a complex array of emotions. There was no instant fix, but the path forward seemed clearer. Back at her new room, she called Lila, updating her on the meeting. "You did amazing, Zeph," Lila said, her voice filled with pride. "This is just the beginning of you taking back your life." Zephyrah smiled, the first genuine smile in days. She knew the journey would be long, filled with challenges, but she was no longer alone. With support from friends, professionals, and even a slowly mending family bond, she was ready to face it all. As she looked around her new space, she felt a burgeoning sense of empowerment. This was her new chapter, one where she would define her own boundaries and safety.